Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is once again repeating this short-term bearish pattern, while Ethereum is also repeating a short-term bearish signal, which I'll talk about later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the daily Bitcoin chart, and of course, right now, we're still playing out this active bearish divergence on the daily Bitcoin chart. And so, as I've been saying recently on the channel, nearly for the last 1 week, we're due to see either some choppy sideways price action, if not a bit more of a pullback within the next few weeks here in the price of Bitcoin. And obviously, over the last 1 week or so, ever since this bearish divergence confirmed, of course, that's what we have seen, a lot of choppy sideways price action with some bearish and some bullish price action, obviously making up that sideways consolidation so far. But believe it or not, you can actually make a lot of profit very easily from choppy sideways price action just like this. And if you want to know how to do that, then stick around to the end of this video to find out more. But basically, the price of Bitcoin can still remain within this bullish trend. It's just right now in the somewhat short term, we're basically taking a bit of a pause from the bullish trend before we could potentially continue the trend later on. Because at least for now, in the somewhat short term, we're simply lacking that bullish momentum that we saw previously, because at least for now, the MACD is of course showing some short-term bearish momentum, not looking very bullish in the short term, which also lines up very well with that bearish divergence on the daily time frame, once again telling us we're due to see a bit of a short-term break from that bullish trend. And if you're taking a look at the DXY, over the last 1 day, we've seen a very slight bounce, resulting in a very slight pullback here in the price of Bitcoin, also on the daily time frame. But as I've said over and over again when covering this chart right here, of course, we can still see day-to-day volatility in the price of Bitcoin. So for example, 5% moves up or down here and there, because obviously looking at this chart right here, it showcases the larger moves or short-term bullish and bearish trends, not just every single small bullish and bearish move. And so essentially what we can take away from this chart once again is if the DXY is in a bearish trend on the daily chart, forming lower highs and lower lows, that usually means Bitcoin is going to be in a bullish trend on the same time frame, forming higher lows and higher highs. But obviously, just like basically any bullish trend, we can see some short-term bearish movements, especially on smaller time frames during a bullish trend. Just like how during a bearish trend, when the DXY is bullish and Bitcoin is in a bearish trend, obviously we can see some small pumps in the price of Bitcoin back to the upside here and there during a bearish trend. So at least for now, we have not yet confirmed a bearish trend reversal in the price of Bitcoin, but once again, at least for now, we're basically taking a bit of a pause from that bullish trend. And if we're taking a look at the 8-hour Bitcoin chart, we still have this previous ascending line of resistance now acting as support to pay attention to, which is sitting at around 40.6k to 40.7k. So if we end up seeing a continued short-term pullback here, then once again, we should expect support around those levels. But if we end up seeing a confirmed break back below around 40.6k, below this line right here, then in that case, we could end up seeing a drop all the way back down towards this line of support, which is currently sitting at around 37.7k to 37.8k. But as I've said previously on the channel, of course, due to previous resistance just here, we should expect a lot of support at around 38,000 approximately in case this short-term pullback continues. And zooming further into the short term, looking at the 2-hour Bitcoin chart, and what we have just seen play out is a diamond top pattern. And this pattern, this type of price structure is bearish price structure, just like what we saw back here, where we basically see some slightly higher highs and then begin to see lower highs again. It's basically price structure that is somewhat similar to a head and shoulders pattern, but of course a diamond pattern is not a head and shoulders pattern, but it still ultimately plays out in the same sort of fashion if we see a break below support, which is what we have seen just recently. And now if you want to trade moves like this, whether we're going up or down, you can profit in either case with long positions and short positions. And personally, I trade over on Bybit, so I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit in the description down below and in the pinned comment. And in fact, if you use that link to make a Bybit account, you can claim up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitflex. And so I'll also make sure to leave a link to Bitflex in the description down below and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link to make a Bitflex account and deposit $100 worth of crypto and to make one trade over on Bitflex, you can claim 10 10 USDT completely for free. And so once again, if you're trading crypto anyway, or if you're preparing to take the next crypto trade, you might as well set up ready to go with one of those accounts if you want to claim those extra bonuses, once again in those links down below. And now getting back to this diamond top pattern, if you're looking at the technical price target for this pattern, as of recording this video, we've basically already hit the technical price target for this pattern right here, but it still tells us that we have reached a local top in the price of Bitcoin, and we're now in a pullback phase, at least on the 2-hour chart, just in the immediate short term, similar to what we saw just here. And so basically in the immediate short term, talking about the coming hours, possibly over the next day or so, we're looking more bearish than bullish, because once again, we're in a stage in the market similar to what we saw back here. But remember, this is just on the smaller time frames. If you zoom out to the daily chart, this is still occurring within that choppy sideways price action, that sideways consolidation, at least for now. And if you're taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, right now we do have a lot of liquidity, a lot of liquidations still sitting at around 40.5k. And now we do have some liquidation, some liquidity starting to build up just above the current price at around 43.6k. But considering there's more liquidity at around 40.5k than there is at around 43.6k, considering that fact, and also considering that we're currently in a short-term pullback from this bearish pattern, it is technically more likely we could head towards around 40.5k sometime soon in the short term than it is towards around 43.6k. But of course, we could ultimately hit both of those price targets, both of those levels, if, for example, we first drop down towards around 40,500, and then perhaps a few days or even a week later on, we could come up and hit that higher price target. And once again, that would all line up very well with the sideways consolidation, the choppy sideways price action that we're seeing on the daily time frame as a result of the larger bearish divergence on the daily time frame. But anyway, now getting into the Ethereum part of this video, this is on the weekly time frame, and over the last one day, nothing much has changed here on the weekly ETH to US dollar chart. So if you're new to the channel and you want to know more about this chart right here, then simply watch my last video here on the channel. So getting straight into the daily time frame, and just like Bitcoin, of course, we do have an active bearish divergence here on the daily ETH to US dollar chart. And so once again, like I've been saying here on the channel, we're most likely going to see either some choppy sideways price action, if not a bit more of a pullback within the next few weeks here in the price of ETH. And of course, so far over the last 1 week or so, we have seen exactly that, a lot of choppy sideways price action here on the daily chart so far. But once again, it is possible this could just be a pause within the bullish trend, because technically speaking, we have not yet actually confirmed a bearish trend reversal. But once again, at least for now, in the somewhat shorter term on the daily time frame, we're simply lacking that bullish momentum that we saw previously in the bullish trend. And as for significant support here on the daily time frame, of course, we still have this area of support sitting in between around 2.1k going up towards around 2150 based on previous resistance, and has been acting as support recently. And as for other support levels, looking at the 8-hour time frame, we do have a Fibonacci level of support at around 2150. But if we were to see a confirmed break below 2150 and below this support on the daily chart below 2.1k, then in that case we have the 38.2% Fibonacci level of support at around 2010 to 2020. And below that level of support, we have more support at around 1910 to 1920. But if you're zooming into the shorter term, looking at the 2-hour time frame, we now have a new bearish divergence playing out here in the immediate short term. Because obviously just recently, as you can see, the price of ETH has confirmed higher highs in the candle closes, while also confirming lower highs in the 2-hour Ethereum RSI. And so basically this tells us that this previous bullish divergence that played out over the last few days in the form of a bullish relief is definitely now over. Because remember, here on the smaller time frames like this 2-hour chart, of course these smaller patterns and signals on the smaller time frames take a lot less time to actually play out, and usually result in smaller moves compared to on the larger time frames. Because obviously on the larger chart, these moves take a lot longer to play out and are usually much larger moves. For example, bullish or bearish divergences on the daily chart usually play out at least over the next few weeks, whereas on the 2-hour chart can literally just play out over a matter of hours or days. And so once again, right now, a new bearish divergence is playing out on the 2-hour chart, which could potentially continue to play out over the next one day, considering just in the immediate short term here on the smaller timeframes, once again, we are currently looking more bearish than bullish. And as for short-term support and resistance, taking a look at the Fibonacci retracement tool from swing high to swing low to look at previous Fibonacci levels of resistance, which could now act as new support. First of all, we can see an almost perfect rejection from this golden pocket level of resistance, which I talked about in my last video. And as for support, we could expect some short-term support at around 22.05, and below that level, we should have more support at around this local low in between around 21.40 to 21.50 approximately. But believe it or not, you can profit no matter what the price is doing, whether we are bullish, bearish, or simply chopping around sideways as we're doing right now. You can profit in either of those scenarios by watching these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how to make money if the price is bullish or bearish using longs and shorts, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit in choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.